in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What's a pity? Tomorrow never certain. What dwells behind the curtain? The face of evil lurking with the shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, could either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Oh, hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are cutting to the chase. We're getting right to it. How to get rich, right? No, no chaser. Straight to it. How's it going, Dr. Thunder?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Not bad, not bad. You sound like you're in your car, but you're on the phone or something.
Yeah, I'm in the car heading back after playing this musical all week. There's 6 more shows. So, yeah, I did a stream actually, what was it? Last night, actually, talking about some impressions of the show. If folks want to check that out.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're going to be reviewing this video, 10 steps how to get rich. Now, you're not going to get rich without understanding how money works or what money is, especially when it comes to time. Right now, everybody knows, Dr. Thunder, that there's a difference between give me $1 million right now versus, well, you're going to earn $50,000 a year for the next 20 years and you'll get $1 million, right? That time difference is an important part of money. How do I reach into the future and grab that $1 million and bring it up front? Okay. Is a lot of the times is what the money equation is really dealing with. Shout out to you, because obviously you have also time related when it comes to money is the fact that money has interest rate. In other words, there's a cost for money and it kind of changes over time. If you solidify one particular asset at a particular interest rate and then the interest rate changes for some reason up or down, it affects you. If also you have inflation, which is the other thing that, eating your money in the opposite direction, blah, blah, blah. So money, time, pulling that $1 million that you would get if you work 20 years for $50,000 a year, pulling it up front and such. Shout out to Game Changer in the building. Shout out to Mr. Christopher Williams, always supporting. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Kay in the building. Thank you very much, Kay. Go ahead, like, share the stream, and we shall get directly into this.
Everyone wants to be rich, but only a few people ever manage to make it. This is because getting rich isn't easy. However, it is doable. Now, as someone who's been lucky enough to spend time with some seriously wealthy people, I've started to understand the secrets to their success. My name is Guy, and today I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to get rich based on what I've learned.
I can guide you, but you have to reach the top.
Now, I can't guarantee that you will get rich, but I can guarantee that what you learn today will bring you at least one step closer to that goal. So get those pens and papers ready. This is a video you'll want to remember. The first step to getting rich is to understand what being rich means. Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, but he doesn't have much time. He has lots of stress, and he continues to work 24/7 just to keep up the pace. For most of us, that's not what being rich means. At the surface level, being rich means having lots of money. Conservatively, it means having enough money that you don't have to worry about paying bills, regardless of the circumstances. Liberally, it means having enough money to buy whatever you want, within reason, of course. When you dig deeper, however, you realize that being rich means having lots of time, too. As the saying goes, time is money. The difference is that time is more valuable because, unlike money, it can't be made back. Most of the richest people have lots of money, but not much time, in more ways than one. Depending on your age, you're already richer than most of the richest billionaires when it comes to the time you have left on this planet. It's just hard to see because you can't feel time in your hands or see it on a screen, so to speak. But it is there, and if you're watching this, chances are you probably have lots of it. But being rich doesn't just mean having lots of time and money. There's a third component: having the ability to spend your money in the way you want, whenever you want. This is the forgotten definition of financial freedom. Consider that $1 billion in the bank is worth nothing if you can't spend it. This is a definition of financial freedom that most people are going to relearn when central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, start being rolled out.
All right. So we're getting right into the thick of things here with the kind of preemptive or preemptory it's always the case that people have to then try to define what rich is. I don't find it necessary, especially for an audience that's listening, because they know what it means to them. It is important to remind people of the time aspect that, oh yeah, somehow there is a correlation between these people having a lot of money but not really having a lot of time. Are you built like that? Are you built different? Shout out to Moses. And also talking about the amount and your ability to spend it. Now, for some people, it might be, hey, I think if I'm living in a particular part of Mississippi somewhere, I think $9,000 a year with access to home ownership, certain things, and retirement and savings and this, blah, 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 I'm good. In other words, $9,000 a month. For some people, it's $90,000 a month. But what are your thoughts so far about what he's laid down, the expected kind of, well, here's what rich is?
Yeah, no, I think it is important. I think that folks have that rich, that means that you're going to be, you don't have to get dressed in the morning and you can just stay in bed all day and you don't have anything to do. You can just plan elaborate trips and pay people to fan you with, palm branches and stuff, and that's what it is. But the folks that are the richest, they tend to have more of their time encumbered. Their time is worth more, and more people are trying to get to them. I think that's good. I think that by virtue of having a lot of resources, I think that how do I put it? The responsible thing to do, I don't want to say right thing to do, but I do want to say maybe the morally upright. I don't even really want to say that. But the expected thing is that you'll make yourself available to other people. So you've gotten to a certain stage, so then now you're sort of a servant. You're serving the people that are in need, or the folks that the kind of information, the kind of lever, or the kind of access that you have would be useful for. So I think just knowing that you're not going to be just sitting around. So that's important. Another factor is, no matter how much money you make, if you spend more than you make, you still broke.
Ding, 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 ding. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find out quickly. It is the case right now, no matter what income bracket you are in. But if you're trying to move up, one thing that you will find out very quickly is that, or you'll realize, is that your tax bill is your highest bill. And a lot of times, some people even get to a point where they say, the taxes are getting a little too much, either as part of an excuse to get comfortable, or as an actual deterrent. They don't want to deal with, but there are ways around that. It's all about which assets you're directing, you know, how you arrange the money. If you arrange the money in a corporation, if you arrange the money in some kind of assets that are protected, like 401ks, IRAs, and this and that, and you arrange the money such that it's investments and you're paying yourself only a little bit and all these other kinds of things. Definitely, indeed. So let us continue. And this guy, by the way, is a crypto guy, so he's going to talk about Central. He's gonna be throwing in some crypto propaganda as he goes along here, right? So with every channel, there's there. So he's going to tell you. He's going to probably drop a few seconds now about the central bank stable coin, you know, the CBDC, basically central banks kind of a crypto, and how they're going to use it to control you or something.
They will make it possible for governments to control what you buy, when you can buy it, and even how much you can save. More about all of that later. Now, though, this ties into the second step to getting rich, and that's understanding how money works. If you watched our video about how the financial system is rigged, you'll know that currencies like the US dollar were once backed by money, namely gold. However, this changed in the 1970s. Since that time, the value of almost every currency has fallen off a cliff because governments and central banks have been printing so much of it. As basic economics dictates, the more of something there is, the less valuable it becomes relative to other things in the economy. As such, it's incorrect to think that the prices of things like houses have gone up. It's the value of the currency that's been declining. When you look...
Okay, so this next part here, it got a little dense. Or I don't know if it's just me perceiving it. So let's take a pause there. Now he's talking about an aspect of money, fiat currency, that has to do with inflation. An inflationary fiat currency system, the value of money changes over time, goes down over time. Part of this is, you know, the arbitrariness of the ability to print this money, to create more money, more supply, less value, right? So if you plot the drop in the value of the dollar against the rise of many assets, especially homes, you'll find that it's a one-to-one. That one way of looking at the rise in assets is basically that there has been a reduction in value of the denominator, reduction in value of the currency, right? Your house didn't go up 10%, the currency went down 10%. But it really doesn't matter in a system like this. As long as the dance continues, as long as you can continue to print, it's fine, right? So that's one thing. Introducing the aspect of the time aspect of money, talking about central banks printing it, so you understand how fiat currency works with relative to other assets. I think is interesting. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about that little section there?
Well, one point that on Two Dads React that the co-host Tony from God Rules, one thing that he's been pretty consistently pointing out, he's probably made a mention of this, and I'd say a third of our shows, is that in the 70s, when they went off of the gold standard, they began to sort of start printing all this money and giving it to their friends, while simultaneously they opened up the you know, more opportunities for women to work, right? Women in the workplace, right? So you had a lot of that stuff happening simultaneously, and so there's a lot of clamoring about, you know, the wage gap and blah blah blah. And they're clamoring, hey, we need to make more money like this. And then also you went away from having as many single income sort of households, right? So then what one person was making pretty quickly, it took two people to make that. And most of that is because of all of the printing the money in the background and literally stealing money from people by giving it to their friends. Reducing the value of the currency while able, you know, in the background, you know, making all of their friends wealthy, you know.
Let me say something about what Dr. Thunder just said here about giving it to their friends. It's like, okay, how do they give it to their friends? Okay, forget you can have various imaginations of how it gets given, but you just look at different stratas of society. The people whose money, whose wealth, let's just call it, is mainly in cash, and that's typically in the lower end. In the lower end, you get cash, you spend it, and your money, your wealth is really in cash. And then some people have houses, and then some people have stocks and other kinds of assets which are heavily financialized and highly inflatable. When you're on the end that has assets that are heavily financialized and highly inflatable, whenever people print money, they're literally printing money into that balloon is what gets inflated. The balloon of people with assets. The people down there with their cash, actually, what they're holding gets devalued. Okay, so even without the hey, back room, smoke filled room, me giving my money to my friends, it's like no, they know where it's gonna end up. Okay, it's gonna end up in these stocks somewhere over in these 7 companies, as for example, the 7 companies that are holding up the whole of the stock market in the past couple of years, and so on and so on. And it's not a surprise that Elon Musk became the richest person in the middle of that of the recent kind of rally of printing, because a lot of his money now has been in a highly financialized. In other words, it's in the financial market, the stock market, the public company money market, right? And that gets highly inflated with money increasing. So just a note on that. But you can land, Dr. Thunder.
That was basically it.
Indeed. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, and let me just tell the quick kind of, he said something which is quite important. He said that dollars used to be backed by gold, aka money, used to be backed by money. In other words, he's the kind of guy that understands, okay, he has an idea of what real money is, and fiat money is not real money. And again, it goes hand in hand with being a crypto bro. But real money typically is a commodity, okay, that we can use to kind of denominate other commodities. Okay, I like telling the story of, it starts with barter, right? Me and Game Changer are on an island. Game Changer makes shoes. I grow potatoes. Game Changer wants potatoes, but I don't want the shoes that he makes. So what do? So we say, hey, there's this third thing, cell phone minutes, and we're going to denominate everything in cell phone minutes. Game Changer says, how many cell phone minutes for a sack of potatoes? I say 100 cell phone minutes for a sack of potatoes. Now, cell phone minutes are fungible in the sense that 1 minute is 1 minute, right? You can't just create cell phone minutes, right, out of thin air and so on and so forth. So it starts that those are the properties of money, something that serves that purpose. So money is not just something that you just like, oh, here's an arbitrary list of characteristics. It's something that emerges that serves best the purpose of Game Changer getting potatoes without him giving me shoes. So cell phone minutes or certain other kind of thing that cannot be easily created, and gold and certain other things kind of serve that purpose as well. You can't just create gold. 1 ounce of gold is 1 ounce of gold is 1 ounce of gold, right? It's fungible, it's divisible, and such and such. Fiat then came, or shall I say currency, the paper comes whereby it's like, okay, I can't be carrying gold around, so let me just use these notes to represent the gold or represent the cell phone minutes or whatever. So we start trading cell phone minutes in cards rather than direct transfers of cell phone minutes through phones or whatever, right? And then fiat currency comes about when somebody just starts creating cell phone minutes, and we call them central banks. Like, so now they can just flood the market with cell phone minutes or money or whatever you want to call it. And as you can imagine, it affects the whole marketplace. But the important thing about this last section is that it affects much more the people who have assets, especially highly financialized ones that are completely untethered from their quote unquote fundamental value, if you will.
Look at the price of things like houses when measured in money, like gold, you'll see the proof that prices haven't really risen at all. It's the currency that's falling. This is a problem considering that almost all of us are paid in a currency of some kind. The bigger problem is that we're spending time, which is inherently valuable as it's finite and can't be made back, in exchange for a currency that is being printed out of thin air by governments and central banks. This is why so many of us feel like we can't keep up, and why it's so hard to get ahead. It also underscores the fact that you must factor this in to your goal of being rich. Remember, being rich means having lots of money, not lots of currency. $1 million today will be worth less decades from now. So, when you're assessing how much money you're going to need to be rich, make sure you're counting in money terms and not in currency terms. You'll come to.
So when he says, again, counting in money terms, not in currency terms, he's talking about counting a hard asset. In the example, cell phone minutes is a real thing, or gold is a real thing. It's always an asset, right? Now, there are other things such as like houses and or businesses, right? A business that cash flows is an asset. and these types of things. So you count your money there versus counting your money in fiat is what he's cautioning against. If you count your money in fiat, you're making a mistake. Fiat loses value. The value goes into the assets. But shout out to the Dusty Andre, not the ADHD Andre, but the Dusty Andre. Thank you very much for the Canadian dollars. He says, shout out to Dr. Thunder and the chat. Yes, so I'll continue playing.
To find that things aren't as hard to get as they may seem. They just appear hard to get when you're looking at them through a currency lens. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to smash that like button to help others find it. Now, this relates to the third step to getting rich, and that's to make money. I'm using air quotes because you technically can't make more money. Nobody can. The supply of money is fixed by nature, in the case of gold, and fixed by algorithm in the case of Bitcoin, which many consider to be digital gold. You technically can't make currency either. Only central banks and commercial banks can do that. In truth, the only thing you can do is convince others to give you their currency in exchange for your time. That's ultimately what you're doing when you're working for someone or for yourself. And unfortunately, exchanging time for currency is the only option most of us have. Besides most countries requiring you to be paid in currency, being paid in money would make you progressively more expensive for your employer or customers to the point that you become unaffordable. That means there's only one option, and that's to make and keep as much currency as you can. On the making side, you want to maximize the amount of currency you're getting in exchange for your time. On the keeping side, you want to keep as much of the currency you're getting. For the former...
So, Dr. Thunder, what you got to say about the maximizing the currency that you're getting? Okay, see, there's another super chat. Okay, we're keeping it flowing. Shout out to Game Changer.
Can you hear me? All right, good.
Yeah, Game Changer says here's some currency. Shout out to him. Super chat $5. And go ahead, Dr. Thunder.
Yeah. So one of the issues that I have with an aspect of sort of pop economics and sort of popularized normie economics is there's always this sense that you can supposedly grow yourself out of whatever issue. All you have to do to fix these issues is you just need to grow the economy. The problem with that is that though in some aspects we may not be aware of the finite nature of the economy, so we haven't hit the limit yet. There is either clearly a limit or will be a limit at some point, and you will not be able to grow your way out of a hole. It's just not going to be possible. In a sort of fundamental version of this argument I'm making, or this point that I'm making, is the fact that gold is finite. You only have so much of it, and that's what makes it valuable. And no matter what you do, you can't just simply expand the amount of gold, because then that by definition makes it less valuable. That's the sort of issue that you're bumping up against. That there's not really a way to solve that. And this is why I was saying before, no matter how much money you have, if you spend more money than you have, you still broke. You still dusty.
Mm-hmm. Now, getting that money and keeping the money. So this is the third part of what he's talking about. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, part number one was, well, what is rich to you? And then part number two is understanding a little bit about what fiat currency is versus what hard money is. And then now, how do you get currency and then stack money? So currency is one thing, but money is the other. Money is what keeps it safe. Let's say, for example, gold or something else that is, shall we say, non-fungible. Meaning you can't just, if I give you a bar of gold, I no longer have the bar of gold. I can't just like make another bar of gold, like fiat. So keeping the money in assets. Let us continue. Let's see where he goes from here.
That means improving your skills, gaining experience, and expanding your network.
And the obvious thing about, you know, maximizing the time stuff, you know, that it probably didn't bear any kind of emphasis, but high value skill is the bottom rung. People try to jump into, I'm a hustler, let's say you want to go into the hustle territory, right? Straight up, I straight up just slang stuff. I'm just importing, exporting, slanging, Instagram, Shopify, killing it. You know, I'm just that dude. Well, that dude basically is a salesman, okay? And if you haven't proven yourself to be a good salesman, which is a skill, a very hard skill, by the way, and that's why it's so highly paid. And that's why many people don't want to do it, because it's a tough thing to do. So get that high, go sharpen your metal somewhere with regards to this particular skill. If that's the kind of hustle life you want to live, okay, go get a sales job at a good place, improve yourself, and then you'll see the acceleration, because you want to get as much fiat as possible, you know, for your time when you're in that basic, you know, when you're just starting off. And there's always a starting off, by the way, and there's always a no matter what level you are in, you're always doing all these same practices. It's not like you just completely leave, you know, the orbit and become a billionaire. Most of us not going to do that, right? You're still going to need to keep certain skill sharp. Anyways, I'll shut up about that.
These will occasionally require reducing the amount of currency you're getting paid as your time is being spent elsewhere. Put simply, the experience might be worth it, even if you aren't directly earning money from it. For the latter, this means avoiding taking on debt when it's not necessary and reducing your taxes where possible. If you watched our video about how to
debt and taxes, anything to say about that, Dr. Thunder? That's a huge one. Shout out to Savings Minus Debt. Talks about people not seeing the negative side of the universe. All right, people tend to just like, oh, I have this amount of money. It's like, okay, minus debt. It's a rather brilliant, catchy name, by the way. Let me give him his props on that, because the name just kind of completely encapsulates his message and his concept. Basically, look at the calculator, as he always says. Right? Look at the calculator. Subtract what the debt is. That's how much you have in the bank. Oh, you have a house and it's worth X, Y, Z. Well, how much do you owe on the house and all these other places? Oh, negative number. That's how much you have. So, Dr. Thunder, any thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different angle on the what I've been saying. You know, no matter how much money you make, if your debt is more than you make, if you're spending more money than you make, then you're broke. And that's the real dollars of it. Now, and you're going to get to a point. Here's another issue. You know, something my dad always told me is, you know, you can work now or you can work later, right? And the implication here is that working now is better because you're younger now than you're going to be later. And then therefore you're going to have more, energy to be able to spend more hours, and your body will recover quicker. You'll be able to handle stress and other issues better. Okay. So working now is always going to be better than, you know, working later. Now, if you don't get your stuff together by a certain age, what that means is that you're going to be working until you die, and it's going to shorten your life because, you know, you're doing stuff that you shouldn't have to do. I was watching one of Passport OG's video, and as part of his video, he clipped I think it was on Machismo TV. Shout out to Salty Balls. And they had a panel where they were talking about, you know, basically being willing to take a risk when you're young. So the thing is that you can only really When you're old, you're too old to take risks. You're too old. And they were talking about, in particular, Hot Sauce was on there talking about how he took a risk and he moved overseas and he had like $700 to his name, and it was a struggle, but he made good. Everything's going well for him now. And he was encouraging young brothers that you may think you don't have anything, you don't have any money, you don't have this, and you don't have that. You also don't need the same level of accommodations when you're young. Stuff like, sleeping on the floor or on a couch, or splitting a room with five dudes, stuff like that. When you're in your early 20s, that's not a big deal. And you'll recover from that. You in your 50s and trying to do this, that's a different thing. You need like first class accommodations. You need that stuff because if you don't have that, your back will be jacked up for like, you'd be like crippled for like 3 weeks and stuff. So you have to know when it's time to work and put the time in when you can put the time in. When you get older, you're beyond the time when you're going to be able to make this up. And so if you're still spending more than you have and you still get that calculator out and saying you got negative money, what that means is that you're going to end up dying early because, rather than getting your stuff together, you stay dusty. So just saying.
Yes. Shout out to you. Yes, and Dr. Thunder showed the arc here, the arc of growth and then decline. Right? Growth at the time you have the energy, you have the recovery, and then the decline of the physical person here. But also tied in there is the compounding of money, the investment period, the growth period, and then the period where you need to start reaping those investments, right? Because you don't have much life ahead of you to cast the net forward. This whole thing of compounding and saving, keeping things as early as possible so that they can maximize and compound over time is a factor as well of why you should start early. It has a logic all its own, right? Whether you're strong or not, if you keep something early, you keep real money, right? That is early, real assets early, whether it's gold or Bitcoin or whatever it is that's stable and can represent real money, start a real business or something like that, form a pipeline. That thing is just going to grow with time. The older you get, the less time you have for that thing to grow, and you actually need to start reaping from it rather than taking risks. You can't be taking risks when you're getting older, right? So even the logic.
And let me say this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go finish your next thought, and then I have something I want to add.
I'm saying the logic of your growth and decline as a physical body is the same exact logic of the growth and decline of your money insofar as you're talking about an investment period, growth period where you can be risky, and then the period where you need to start taking it out and slow down.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We talk a lot about how, in this space that men don't have the same sort of limitation as far as time goes that women do. That's both true and false. Okay. So it's true in that you can wait later if you want to get a family started. You don't have a biological clock like that. That's true. However, you also miss out on a lot of opportunities for growth if you wait a long time to get certain things together. Kevin Samuels talked about the IKEA marriage, where you both get together, you both broke, you're both dusty, but you committed to it, you stick it out, and you're able to, over a lifetime, build tremendous wealth. And because you got together young enough, you're able to fully enjoy the fruits of your family. I think about the difference between my parents, who got married when they were 20 and 19. My dad was 20, mom 19. And the amount of life that they have past retirement and with their grandkids. And now they're to the point where, and they're both, doing well, and I have longevity in my family. They're both doing well. It's likely that they're going to see grandkids and still be able to, have a sort of quality of interaction with them. And I know that there's a lot of looking at marriage with the side eye, and a lot of fear associated with the court system, and jacking dudes up and all this kind of stuff. And I think you can take certain precautions, but you're still trading something that you may or may not actually have. And then here's the other problem. Black men, our life expectancy, the average is like 65 years. So how long do you actually think you actually have to do this stuff that you want to do? And this is not just about family we're talking about here. We're also talking about developing money, right? This actually shows about how to get rich. How much time do you actually think that you have to do this? You got to get started young. You got to make good decisions, make the right risks, take the right risks. And if you're going to suffer some setbacks, you need to suffer those setbacks while you're still young, and you can still get back. And something that CGA was like joking about one of his shows, he was talking about, dudes getting them like a young wife and they're in their like 50s. And he was talking about like, he was talking about like trying to play with the kids and stuff. And your back is all jacked up and your knees are shot. And you can't. And then he was talking about the irresponsibility of, in general, like having kids when you're up in age and you're not going to have very much time left. Maybe by the time they get out of high school and you kick the bucket already, or, it's just, I'm kind of teasing, and we do have more time in one sense, but you have to kind of, you have to keep in mind that, all of this stuff is related, because you start talking about how you're going to spend your time, the quality of your life. What is the point of you getting out here and taking these risks and hustling hard to try to get rich if you're not going to have anyone to share that with? And I know some folks would be like, well, see, that you used to sucker for love, ninjas, and you don't have to have a family. It's fine to not have a family and stuff like that. I get that. Some people are like that, but most dudes are not like that. That's not what most guys want. Most guys, they want to get wealth and like that because they want to share it with their family. That's one of the primary ways that men are wired differently than women, right?
Yeah.
Women want to get money so they can buy more, fancy stuff for themselves. Often is the case, more luxury kind of stuff. That's what the numbers say. Men tend to say, okay, I'm getting this money. Okay, I provided for my family. I provided for this, college funds together, X, Y, and Z. Okay, what stuff in the community can I do? All right, what stuff okay, oh, this person over here has got a house. Let me see if I can help them, get their house, get their house fixed up or something. Whatever. That men tend to like develop around themselves and in their community. So anyhow, I'm kind of rambling. Go ahead.
Shout out to Bob. Dropping $5. Thank you very much. Okay. So this how to get rich, man, that's a serious question. That's serious business. Okay. And it's the kind of thing that regardless of, this is the kind of thing where you have to make a decision, right? And you can't be this kind of wishy-washy person that doesn't understand how to compartmentalize and deal with life, right? Like, it's either you're in or you're not, right? And it's like, make a decision already, And the thing here's the thing about that. The flip side of that coin is you need to believe in yourself, right? When no one believes in you, which would be most of the time, and especially every time you level up. Every time you level up, you're going to a new place. You're not comfortable there. You don't know if you can land this jump, and you're going to be the one alone there, right?
Yeah,
So
every time you make a jump, you're the dustiest one in the room.
100%. So whether you're doing it for whatever your hangups are about other aspects of your life, it's like just get that S straight before you come in this room, right? Get your ish together before you come in this room, because this is a very simple programmatic room where you're going to need to deal with your insecurities, your self-confidence, and make a decision. God damn it! But anyways, let us continue.
If you aren't directly earning money from it. For the latter, this means avoiding taking on debt when it's not necessary and reducing your taxes where possible. If you watched our video about how to get a job in crypto, you'll know one easy way to do this is to see if you can become a contractor for the company where you currently work as an employee. That's because the money you spend on things like food and transportation can be deducted from your taxes as an expense, and the company can deduct any money they pay you from their taxes as an expense too. In many cases, this means you get paid a lot more as a contractor than as an employee, the more you know. This pertains to step 4.
Now he's up to step 4. Just a quick note on the end of step 3 there, and we'll continue. Just basically continue from what he said earlier, which is about that getting more money and keeping it. That's what step 3 is about, getting more money and keeping it. You get fiat and then you keep money, right? You get fiat, which is just the dollars, and then you immediately transfer it into an investment in a business, which is a pipeline of more fiat in the future. That's what sort of business is. That's what cash flow is. Okay, a business could be a house in the sense that if you're renting it out or whatever it is, this form of asset is, that is real money. Okay, the fiat you get needs to be converted to real money real quick. Get a high level skill and then get into a 1099 situation. The reason also why a high level skill can get into 1099 is even if you're a high level salesman, you can be quite independent, right? Or if you're a high level or if you're someone that has like a certifications, electrician, whatever it is that you can turn into a 1099, you need to get there as quick as possible, right? The American system allows you to have these different persons that you can embody. You have your person, right? The person, Dr. Thunder, with his social security number, an American person, they call it, right? But you're also allowed to have these other American persons, which are called corporations, other bodies, as the root word of corporation is, right? You're allowed to have these other bodies, okay? And if you're not taking advantage of it, you're not taking advantage of the basic level of what the system is allowing you to do. Once you're able to open up these other bodies, in other words, start getting a 1099, and then now you're reporting yourself as either a sole proprietor, LLC, a corporation, whatever. Now all kinds of things open up to you. That dusty room that you're in, where you're listening to us from right now, where you do the work that you're doing, all of a sudden it's an office. You can deduct taxes or deduct from your taxes and do these other things. In other words, $1 as a 1099 is worth way more than $1 that you get from a W-2. Okay, and the taxes is your biggest bill. And I'll continue.
4, and that's to invest in an informed manner. Once you've made some currency, the next step is to turn that currency into money and things that will make you more currency. Some assets, such as real estate, offer a mix of both. They have money-like qualities and earn currency. Turning currency into money means investing in precious metals like gold and store-of-value cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, if you agree with that narrative. Turning currency into more currency means investing in equities like stocks and bonds, particularly those that pay large dividends or yields. However, you'll recall that part of being rich includes having the ability to spend your money however you want and whenever you want. If you don't keep your gold in a vault, don't keep your BTC on a hardware wallet, or have a mortgage on your property, then you technically don't own these assets.
Okay, converting the currency to money and making sure that it's something that you own, making sure it's something that you cash flow. I'm going to just say something, and then if you have a comment so far, even though he's kind of rehashing things we anticipated. But equities, stocks, and bonds, right? So bonds are more stable. In these days of high interest rates, bonds are yielding you like you can all of a sudden. Remember how we used to say, oh, you can't get any interest rate in the bank, right? For the past many years, right? decades now, right? Now all of a sudden you can get a decent interest rate. Like you could throw money in Robinhood and get like 5%, just fiat, right? In other words, that's what it means when they say, interest rates are high. Okay. So bonds are loans to the government or loans to corporations. They are more stable. They pay you dividends, or they pay the money back to you over a period of time, and it's programmatic. And it tends to be lower yield than an equity, which is a piece of a company, which you just ride up and down the company. It's not a loan to the company or a loan to the government. A bond, a US government bond, is the most stable thing in the world, in the sense that they will pay you back 100%. Even if they have to print to pay you back, they will print to pay you back, is what they do. But that's the basic thing between equities and bonds. The bonds have changed recently, is the point I'm trying to make here, about the fact that now you can get a decent percentage on bonds because of the interest rate increase. Now, if you get those bonds and you hold on to them, let's say you buy these bonds at, right now they're like maybe like 7%. You go and get these US Treasury bonds at 7%. When the interest rates drop down in the future, because the recession hits or whatever, when the quantitative easing period starts again, those bonds are going to be super valuable, because those bonds at that future date that they're selling, right? The future selling bonds are going to be worth nothing. They'll be worth a whole lot less. But you got bonds when they were worth 7% back in 2023. Is a point I wanted to make there about bonds, which are rarely ever explained. Generally speaking, people always want to talk about stocks. Dr. Thunder, any thoughts about what he said so far?
Well, I was just going to comment on the interest thing. Just putting some money in, in a savings account, getting reasonable interest from it. That's that isn't. I can't remember the last time that was actually a thing. It seems like that's been basically garbage for at least 10 years, 5 years, at least 5 years.
Yeah, it's for a while interest rates have been zero and next to zero. If we can look at a chart here going all the way back to early 2000s, 90s stuff. Yeah. Indeed. So let us
your various forms of money, then you need to be diversified globally. That means having your gold and BTC custodied in different jurisdictions and having real estate in other countries that's been fully paid off. Ideally, you'll have citizenship or residence in these areas.
Okay, so this is a big leap here that he's making, right? Obviously, because he's a crypto guy, right? And by the leap, what I'm saying is this is also part of the money journey. Okay, money is about optionality. What's optionality? Optionality means choices. Does that make sense? Shout out to Ja in the chat. Money is about choices, right? Remember the cell phone minutes between me and Game Changer. With cell phone minutes, Game Changer could get anything he wants. With 40 cell phone minutes or $40 equivalent, he can have a good time at the strip club or whatever. Or he could buy gas, or he could save it and or loan it out to somebody in the form of a bond, right? Either to a company or to the government or in some savings account and earn money on it. Basically, it's optionality, okay? So it's about this kind of freedom. When you start stacking enough and then you get into assets, then it's like, okay, I need to diversify still within this land of freedom. And because I need to be able to move to different places. This next step that I say he's leaping to in this journey of freedom is in this kind of passports, international diversification stuff. Typically, people don't start thinking about this until they pass a certain threshold, right? But he is basically coming right there because he's a new age Bitcoin type of guy who's saying, hey, you should go for it right now. You should diversify. You should go ahead and have open up a bank account in the country of Georgia, see what kind of interest rates you get over there. Maybe you should buy a house fully paid off for $100,000 in the middle of a nice spot in Budapest, right? And these other countries, by the way, they force you to buy things, right? Own your assets because they don't have these credit facilities. Mortgages are not easily available. Okay, so transferring again your fiat. Don't be afraid to transfer your fiat into hard money, into assets, and including hard assets throughout the world. But this is typically a level of sophistication that is higher up. I don't know if you agree, right? That he just kind of leaped to. I thought we were just getting a job, right? We're getting a job, and all of a sudden we're an international man of mystery with several passports and stashes of gold in Budapest. What's going on, Dr. Thunder?
Yeah, maybe there was a few steps skipped.
Pro tip, look into your family history to see if you can get a second or third passport. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is something you
Get a passport and then get more passports, okay? The rich people that are getting passports, they're not stupid, okay? Like, that's like when people have an opportunity to get something, in other words, they have the money now, now they have the freedom for that quote unquote optionality, and they go for it. And especially if you have the opportunity to do it, start early.
you'll have citizenship or residence in these areas. Pro tip, look into your family history to see if you can get a second or third passport. Now, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is something you only have to worry about once you have lots of wealth. Given the current geopolitical situation, economic circumstances, and ongoing CBDC development, it's possible, if not likely, that many countries will attempt some form of capital control in the future. When investing, don't forget that you don't just want to make more currency, you also want to keep as much currency as you can. This means being careful about when you sell and borrowing against your assets rather than selling whenever possible, because this isn't taxed, not financial or tax advice.
If you have a 401k and you need some money out of it, you can borrow against it and it doesn't have the tax penalties. And then you pay yourself back out of your paycheck or whatever, the typical way you do it. So he's just talking about a tax aspect there of something. But, nothing much still said, but keep going.
And if you happen to be interested in investing in crypto, the Coin Bureau Deals page has the biggest trading fee
All right, here
discounts
comes
and up to $40,000 of bonuses on the best crypto
Here comes
exchanges.
bonuses.
It's also got the biggest discounts on the best hardware wallets for self-custody. Now, these deals are only open for a limited time and are available only through our exclusive deals page. So be sure to make the most of it. Link will be in the description. Now, the fifth step to getting rich is to become, quote, exceptionally good at what you do. This is billionaire investor Warren Buffett's advice for those looking to make money, or rather currency, regardless of economic conditions. He is 100% correct, and it's not actually that hard to do. This is mainly because most people don't have that much of a drive to improve. So long as it earns them a paycheck, that's often sufficient. You'd be surprised at how much better you can get at things relative to others if you take the extra time to be conscious of what you're doing and how it can be optimized.
Relative to others, go ahead, Dr. Thunder. So he said become exceptionally good at what you do. And the part that people forget is relative to others. People don't understand how horrible the, shall we say, skills and responsibility / work ethic landscape is in any domain, right? To become that in the 20% of the 80-20 rule, not very hard, okay? It's not very hard. With a little bit of extra effort, extra know-how, keep skilling up. It's not hard at all to just start, rocketing into spaces that you do not think you'll be able to get into. It is hard to find good people. Dr. Thunder, I'm sure, can attest to this. Anyone who hires people or looks for people, either hires people on a freelance basis or full-time basis or whatever, encounters the fact that most people suck. Okay. And that's good news, because all you need to do is be better than them. Okay. And all of a sudden you have that leverage in the marketplace. Not everybody needs to be Superman. Okay. But all you got to do is be better than most. And it's not that hard. Any thoughts, Dr. Thunder?
Yeah, it's very hard to find folks to do things. Even if you'll train them and pay them well, it's like people don't want to work. I don't know what this is, man. And my perception is that this is not improving. This is getting worse. And although there seems to be all of this space and opportunity for people to excel, they're just a lot of just lazy. I don't know what I really don't understand what the deal is, because it's not like because everything you're either doing or not doing, the same amount of time is still going by. So you could actually be doing something that could actually make make a difference for you in the future, for your family, put you in a better situation. Um, or you could just be kind of hanging out and not getting anything happening, and still the same time passes and you're still in the same situation. Um, I don't know. I just it's actually kind of a source of frustration, because if there were more people that were willing to see, I'm sort of in the business of creating opportunities for people, right? So and to the extent that there are good people for these opportunities, it would expand the number of opportunities that could be created even for more people, right? It's kind of a synergy that starts to happen. You get a lot of folks that are doing stuff at a certain level, and it's just a lot of dust out here. It's a lot of dust. I don't know what to. I don't want. Part of me doesn't know what to make of it, because I do think that it is getting worse. And although, in a manner of speaking, you're talking about this 80-20 thing, you're talking about it's not hard to get to, to get certain skills or whatever. Well, regardless as to if it's challenging or not to get the skills, what's definitely the case is that since not many folks are willing to do that next level of effort, you can pretty much just outwork everybody pretty easily, because like everybody's lazy. So even if you're not necessarily, blasting past people skill wise, if you compare yourself to maybe a generation earlier or something, you're still, in comparison to the people that you'd be competing against, you just way better. It's always like, it's kind of like inspiring to me whenever I do finally see somebody that wants to work hard, and it makes me want to like give them all kind of opportunities. And so I don't know. This is a lot of
Yeah, no,
stuff out here.
yeah, there you go. And hard work / work ethic is the most important part of that whole thing. The skill thing is just it's a thing. It's almost like a given. It's rudimentary. The work ethic, the person that gets the ish done, that's the part that's so hard to find. And that's why it's good news, because just being that guy, okay. And again, remember the compounding effects. Okay. The things will grow over time. My business has grown
Now
over.
you do need to, and I know that you kind of, I know you sort of take issue with this whole like work hard versus working smart or whatever, and is there really a difference between those things? In a matter of speaking, maybe there's not, because what kind of idiot is just working hard and they're not doing anything that's producing anything? So the implication is that what we're saying is we're saying don't just work hard. Obviously, what it is that you're doing, you want it to be effective. So you find a good thing to be in a good method, an approach to doing what you're doing, and apply pressure to that. That's what's being said. So anyhow.
Indeed, and that just reminds me of that whole. We just did personalities recently, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that we'll probably touch on periodically on these shows going forward. But there's certain strengths that certain personalities have. You have to kind of know what your lane is and in other words, some people are gonna be in the overall analysis more of the brawler, right? They're brawling, they're out there, spraying and they're grinding, right? That's what it's gonna look like, and that perfectly works for them. Okay. If you're going to be a sniper, which is more of the kind of a working smart type of shall we say archetype, then you got to find that too and hone that skill, because trust me, if you're a sniper, grinding is not going to work for you. Okay. All right. Grinding is not going to work for you, and you're going to be another one of these lazy would-be snipers out there, the gifted child that ended up being a bum, right? That happens a lot with these dusty intuitive types. But anyways, let us continue.
Optimized. It goes without saying that the effectiveness of this strategy depends on where you live. If you live in a place where lots of people want to improve, it might actually be harder to do so yourself. That's mainly because you'll be competing with other people who are putting in as much or more work than you are. As the world becomes more connected, the bar for being exceptionally good is being raised across almost all industries. Now,
Can we
on the
stop
one
here?
hand, all this
So that's both true and false. So the thing about so it used to be that universities were the place where everybody was busting ass to try to get themselves to the next place, right? But we know that that's not really what's happening now. Now there's a bunch of dusties in college, and they keep changing the standards and lowering the standard and creating these, other degree programs and stuff, basket weaving express and stuff. So it isn't the case that you go to that location anymore and with the expectation that everybody knows that they're there to do work. I mean, I'm having conversations with students of mine and just students in general, just about basic stuff. Like you still don't have this worked out? I mean, what you went even in college for? It's pretty disheartening, man.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue on point number 3 here, where he talked about how to get more money and keep more money. Okay, which has been perhaps the most kind of fruitful part of the conversation in sense of practical things, high level skill, get that kind of skill that can get you a certification so you can get to 1099 quickly, and then get into a niche. Niches are where it's at, right? You don't just want to be, don't want to be a commodity out there. You don't want to be just a replaceable light bulb. Okay, you want to be the special kind of light bulb that is kind of hard to find. Okay, and people tend to pay more over there in this special little kind of light bulb. Okay, so you don't want to just be like any old electrician. You want to be an electrician that kind of specializes in particular, maybe low voltage, new equipment with this ASICs data center type stuff. You're highly skilled in that regard. It's a small market, but you can get fat in that market. Small relative to the overall electrician stuff, which is just thousands of people. So this is about getting away from competition. You don't want to compete, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, competition is bad. Competition is bad. What you want to do is you want to be a monopoly. All that competition is good stuff, is populist propaganda when people are talking from the pointing at corporations, saying, hey, we want corporations to compete. What you want to do is you want to be a monopoly. If you want to start in that corporation, you want to be a monopoly. You want to get into a niche. You want to be unique. You want to differentiate yourself. You want to have price control, which is what a monopoly has. You want to be able to say, here is my price. Is that a bad thing? Shout out to Alonzo. Is that bad? Is it bad for me to be such a niche person that I can name my price, which is the definition of a monopoly? Then I think monopoly is the goal for you as an individual. And stop drinking the Kool-Aid on the other side that just says, oh, it's always about competition, competition, competition. It's great for the marketplace. Now, we know, Dr. Thunder, that there's like a sleight of hand in there that I did. In other words, yes, you got to be very competitive and compete to become a monopoly, to become that guy. So I'm not saying don't be a competitive person. What I'm saying is you don't want to get into an area where there's a billion other people just like you. You want to be the yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I did a show. Yesterday morning. My morning show. No. Actually, it was because I had to do it because I had the rehearsals and stuff. I had rehearsal, tomorrow, or Tuesday morning. So it's Wednesday today. So Tuesday morning, I had a rehearsal during during the time when I would be doing the show. So I couldn't do my show. So I did it like a 3:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. stream from my Rolling Thunder yesterday, and it was called "Black Women Are what was it? Lappin' Dusty Ninjas, or are they?" And on the thumbnail, it has a picture of a black woman. You know, she's got glasses on, and she's starting to pull her shirt open, and it's got like a Superman joint under there, and it says lapping Dusty Ninjas in a single bound. And because there's all this propaganda about how black women are lapping Dusty Ninjas, and it's all, it's a propaganda campaign designed to continue to further destabilize the black community and to prime it for maximum resource extraction, right? Unresisted, unabetted resource extraction, extraction. Dusty Ninjas rimming up their car instead of paying their rent, stuff like that. Okay. So anyhow, one thing I was talking about is so I reviewed a Medium Man video, and he covered some small business numbers, and some, because apparently black women, they're starting businesses like gangbusters, and they lapping you Dusty Ninjas with all these businesses and ideas that they have. But then when you actually look down at the numbers, you see that you disaggregate the numbers, and you find that actually in the black community, the ones that own the most businesses are black men. The highest number of new folks owning businesses for women of all kinds is black women. But black women are, when you look at the annual money that they're bringing in, on average is, less than 24,000, whereas the average woman is bringing in something like 148,000. This is just an annual revenue, just average annual revenue. And these businesses are going out of business quickly. And then also, when you look at the businesses, we're not talking about businesses where there's multiple employees. We're talking about somebody just, hung out a shingle and is doing nails, or selling bundles of hair, or this kind of stuff. And the problem with that stuff in the black community is it's heavily oversaturated. So you got to compete against, Keisha got to compete against Keisha, as it were. I mean, it's too saturated. And so if you're gonna break out of that, it's good to have that entrepreneurship to get yourself started. Nobody's hating on that. That's good, but you got to do it the smart way. And it can't just be because you trying to show somebody that you're not Dusty. That's not a good reason to start a business. See, I'm proving, hey, I can lap these Dusty Ninjas. That's not a good reason to start a business. You need to have much more. He gave a few examples of good ideas. So, for instance, owning vending machines, that's a good business. A laundromat, owning a laundromat is a good business. Storage units, that's a good business. But the thing is that it's either there's a lazy factor, like, well, I'm just going to sell hair, or I'm just going to, do nails or whatever. There's a lazy factor, or there's the bling factor. See, I don't want to have to tell people that my business is that I own a laundromat, because there's not a lot of swag, you know, associated with that. That doesn't get you, you're not thinking, uh, deluxe handbags and stuff like that when you think of that. You're thinking of we're just all into the, like, all of the wrong stuff. It's not just, I'm teasing a little bit, and we're talking about, Keisha or whatever. But brothers do the same stuff. So we'd be doing the same goofy stuff, right? No real market research. Hey, I got my LLC. I'm ready. And then cats would be more interested in freaking, getting their business card and the freaking color scheme for their office, and they don't have any clients. And it's just like, come on, man. I don't know. What's wrong with us, man?
This competition can be intimidating, and rightfully so. On the other hand, though, this allows you to improve yourself by learning from the best of the best. As some of you will know, there are countless studies that suggest that you pick up the habits of the people around you. This means you must be very conscious of who you spend your limited time with, and ask yourself if they help or hurt your goal of being rich, assuming that's number one to you. On that note,
let me see. Hold on.
becoming exceptionally good at what you do requires a massive investment of time and occasionally money. This often requires sacrificing spending time and money on other things. Speaking from experience, you'll come to find that most of those things were a waste of time and money to begin with.
Okay. Spoken by INTP-ish guy. So neither you nor myself nor this guy is a good person to advise people about how to how to use your time, focus your time alone, which is alone time, which is this aspect here about, not spending money on or spending time with, certain types of people, right? If there's going to be spending time spent at all, it needs to be with a certain type towards a particular kind of direction. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. In other words, cutting off certain kinds of entertainment and seeing other people and really getting in, digging in, being alone and practicing your guitar riffs, or being alone, starting that business, filling out those spreadsheets, doing what needs to be done, all-nighters, year in, year out, decade after decade. That's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about, it was a hard weekend, I just slugged it. It's like, no, this is decade after decade. It takes a lot of alone time. Dr. Thunder, you don't have anything to say because you're an introvert. I don't have anything to say because I'm an introvert. This guy also doesn't have anything to say. But it's something that introverts have a huge advantage in that regard. That's what I'm saying. We can't really. It's just like, okay, cool. We're going to be doing that anyway. So I don't know what to tell you, right? Like, I can't tell you how to be alone. But you need to understand that this is one edge that introverts have here, which is that it's going to take a lot of internal focus and time with yourself, and cutting out people that are just not adding value.
Let me tell you. Yeah. I got to tell you something, man. And not to throw my student under the bus. And he means well and everything. And he's starting to get some stuff together. I've got this band I direct. It's a commercial music ensemble. So it's basically like we're doing a lot of like kind of top 40. We're doing R&B and neo soul, and we do some gospel stuff. We do some rock and roll. We do some country stuff. We do all kinds of things. We're giving the kids sort of an experience of the actual music industry and trying to get them some more styles and stuff. But we put on a real show, like, video sync, and we're using technology and in-ear monitoring and all of this stuff. So it's the sports singers, 4 horn players, guitar, keyboard,
I play bass in the band, and then of course I'm the MD, and it's a two, and a drummer, of course. So it's a strong group and everything. So the guitar player in the group, who, he'd admit that he's still kind of getting some stuff together, but he's about to graduate, right? And he's still kind of getting some things together, and that's good. And he's asking questions, and he kind of is one of these cats that's kind of about to hang, and at times he spent time, working on his craft, getting certain things together, but he sometimes a little bit too much about to hang. All right. And so we were, at the end of a rehearsal and breaking stuff down, because it's a significant task to get everything set up just for a rehearsal, let alone for a show, and then to break everything back down and get it back in the storage and secured and everything. So at the end of that, we started talking about, he started talking about, I just think it does so much for the music and stuff, like when everybody like knows everybody and they're like hanging out and stuff, and maybe they go get like a pizza together, or they go do this and that. And he's dealing with this. And I shut it down right away. I was like, look, what matters is if cats can play their music. Can you play or not? Are you the weak cat in the group, or are you leading the church? Did you charge? Did you do your homework? Can you play the music? If cats can play, then none of that hanging out matters. Okay, now, I'm not saying don't hang out. You can hang out. That's great. You can have a good time. That's great. But all of that stuff is downstream of, can you even cut the part? Can you even do it? And when you start talking about like band, keeping a band together in the long haul, I think certain friendships and certain relationships are, you probably want to invest some time into those. That makes sense. However, in all of the bands that I played in, the number one thing is cats don't want to have their time disrespected because you came to the rehearsal half step. If you limit doing that kind of stuff and you be a professional, then regardless as to if you are the cat, selecting the venue that you're going to do that you're going to go for an after party after the concert and stuff, nobody cares about that crap. That's just I'm talking about in the long term. Nobody cares about that. That's not what it is. Can you cut the gig? Can you actually do it? Can you play well? Did you spend enough time by yourself, right, developing the skills, to be able to come in here and smash this music? And if you did not, then I don't want to hear about hanging out. If you did, and you want to hang out, and that's like a sort of an accessory, that's some additional something. Okay, I'm good with that. But nah.
Shout out. I'm gonna let him land on the next point that he's landing, and then we're gonna do a recap and stuff. Let's see here.
All right.
Occasionally money. This often requires sacrificing spending time and money on other things. Speaking from experience, you'll come to find that most of those things were a waste of time and money to begin with. And speaking of which, becoming exceptionally good at what you do also requires ensuring that you're mentally and physically healthy. This means exercising daily, sleeping enough, eating well, and spending quality time with friends and family. This is all easier to do with a routine. Make sure you stick to it.
Okay, so yeah. We're not gonna get. Don't worry. You can ignore that. He didn't say anything about it. You didn't hear it. And you can tell he had to. I don't know why he felt like he even had to say it. Like No, anytime people say stuff like that, I don't even. I wonder if they actually believe what they're saying. It's like, all this. Anyways, like my mental health is anyway. Whatever. Okay.
So you gotta get some self-care.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the
You know
first
what the
half.
best? You know what the best self-care is? Rolling around in your stacks of money. There goes your self-care.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Like Scrooge McDuck. There go your self-care right there.
So we're gonna be on your channel next year, or next week, or
Yeah. We'll be on my channel.
So next week, yeah, we will continue the other half of this video. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what is next week? You know what? I'm probably gonna have another late rehearsal. Let's just do it on your channel next week, and then after that, then we'll get back to go back and forth. I got that big concert. Actually, with that band I was just talking about, we've got a big concert on November 12th. So next week we've got 4 rehearsals. So and Wednesday might end up being a little bit late of a rehearsal. So yeah. So let's just go ahead and do that.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, check out Two Dads React coming up on Thursday, right? I'm sure you guys got some juicy topics. You're railing against the Fed. You're railing against military industrial complex. You're railing against the woke. Railing against the.
Oh yeah, everybody gets some, and we got our tinfoil hats out.
And your tinfoil hats out. It's everything.
That's right, because
Russia behind it.
That's right. We going in. Matter of fact, we went in a little bit too much last week because the stream got pulled.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So check out Two Dads React on Dr. Thunder's channel. If you want to watch the kind of streams that get pulled by YouTube because they get too deep into the tinfoil hatness. Shout out to him on that. And next week we'll be back here continuing this conversation on how to get rich. 10 points, okay? And these are important points. I think very, very important things that were kind of said in this video, right? Very important concepts. And
especially the one when we discussed how the best self-care is swimming around in your money like Scrooge McDuck.
Yep. Gold foil. So you don't want to jump in the hard coins now. It might break your neck.
Yeah, right. I don't even know how that worked. What was it? I think maybe it was a Family Guy joint when they did like they mocked that, and he like jumps in and it just like totally destroys him.
Yep.
He breaks his neck or something. Oh, that's great.
But right as we roll out here, ladies and gentlemen, and check out Case Closed this Sunday. Okay, check out Case Closed this Sunday. I think it'll be on my channel.
Yes, on your channel.
Highest level conversations, okay? As usual, 4 p.m. Eastern. 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday, my channel, Dr. Thunder's channel. And today we went through so far, I think about 6 of the 10 steps that he has, right? And the number 1 is what is rich for you, right? Get that out of the way, understand it. Is it 80,000 a month? Is it 12,000 a month? Figure it out. Do the math, okay? And then how does money work? And then how do you get more fiat and then stack money? Important part. There's a difference between money and fiat. Fiat is the dollar bill. Money is a hard asset like gold, something that you can always exchange later on, or a cash flowing business or property and things like that. Okay. So understanding how to go from that fiat to money, basically high level skill, get to a 1099 as soon as you can so you can mitigate that tax burden, right? And then get into a niche where you have price control. That is the basic level of how to get the most fiat. And then the rest is just building up more pipeline, more business, more smart investments. He also took a little diversion into the international diversification, which is important. Get more passports, more optionality. Buy a property somewhere else where you can actually pay full cash for it. Okay. And start seeing yourself as a global citizen. Okay. It might be necessary, it might not just be a luxury anymore. It might be a necessity now, not to just hire people or, shall we say, offer your services to other people internationally, but also to start participating in international markets in the sense of actually having real estate, having investments there, having second citizenships, and all these other kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen. But these are the important parts of money. But if you remember one thing from today's show, basically is that money and currency are very different things. Okay, you want to earn currency, you want to immediately change it into money, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, Dr. Thunder, I think we're good. I think we're out.
We are out. See y'all later.
Peace.
In the den of iniquity, vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment, what a pity. Tomorrow never certain, what was behind the curtain, the face of evil's lurking, with the shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble, that either pop or topple, many will fall and stumble, let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso, cannons could reach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make me get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come get it. I say, run, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come get it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.